Hello there, ship fanatics. This is Commodore Urban speaking to you. Looks like me, don't it? I got you guys. This is a caricature. Anyway, hello and welcome back to the channel. And today we're actually going to be talking about the Titanic. Probably thinking, what are we going to talk about the Titanic about? Well, let me show you. I've got my 1/350 scale model of the ship, and I've got some plans of the ship in this book, and we are going to be talking about how a theory about how I think the Titanic actually sank. And everyone's like, but we know how the Titanic sank. No, we're going to dig into detail about how the Titanic sunk and what caused her ultimate demise. Basically, this is what we're going to talk about. As we all know about the story of the Titanic, she hit an iceberg on the starboard side of the hull and opened up several seams down here on the lower part of the ship. She flooded and she sank. Well, that's not the entire story. There's actually a lot more to it than what we knew. And several documentaries I've watched and a few books I read kind of opened my eyes to the truth about what happened to the Titanic. Basically, we are going to be suggesting in this area right here. Probably thinking, what is this space? Well, that, my friend, is some coal bunkers between boiler room number 6 and boiler room number 5. This is where the drama unfolds. That area would be right about in here. This area right here. There was a documentary called Titanic's Deadly Fire, and there was some never before seen pictures of the Titanic in Belfast that showed this really dark area on her hull, about in this area of the ship. And that particular area was where coal bunkers were. And what were we talking about coal bunkers for? Well, because in between these two coal bunkers, this line, that is the one of 15 watertight doors or watertight bulkheads that separate the ship into 16 watertight compartments. Now, what is this so important about? Well, I'll tell you why. Because there was a coal fire in this bunker. A massive coal fire was found when the Titanic left Belfast. And the coal was loaded into the Titanic about a couple weeks before she left for Europe, before she left for Southampton. So this coal fire started sometime shortly after the coal was put into the bunkers, and they discovered the fire the day that Titanic left for Southampton. In a few days, like a day or so afterwards, when she got into Southampton, and the whole time when she was in port, from when she got to Southampton to the 10th of April when she left, this coal bunker was still on fire. And now it was really hot temperature. So when the Titanic left Southampton on her maiden voyage, her coal bunker was still on fire, and it was causing structural damage to the bulkhead. And so when the coal bunker was on fire in this bunker, the heat from this fire ignited coal in the next bunker. So you didn't have one bunker that was on fire, you had two that were on fire. And it took up until the night before she sank. It took Saturday, April the 13th, when they finally got the coal out of these two bunkers, and they were able to examine the damage. And actually, from a surviving crew member in the boiler room of the ship, he went in there and inspected it, and he said that the bulkhead had been dented. It was warped. Then this is a structural part of the ship that gave her watertight defenses against the ocean. And so on that night, Sunday, April the 14th of 1912, when the iceberg came tearing across the bows of the ship, right here, opening up sections of her hull, opening up into the forepeak and the first several compartments into boiler room number 6, and partially into this bunker. All the water was coming in, like so. the ship was settling down at the head like so. And from now what we've known from a book called The Truth About the Titanic by D.E. Bristol, it was told that Thomas Andrews believed that the Titanic was going to survive longer than what she would have. But I believe Thomas Andrews did not know about the damage to the bulkhead in this region of the ship, or was not alerted at the fact that the coal fire did cause structural damage to the ship. And if that was the case, what they should have done is not had this ship sail in the first place. But because the reputation of the White Star Line was at stake, Bruce Ismay, the owner and the chairman of the White Star Line, wanted the Titanic to sail. And that's the reason why she sailed with a blazing bunker of coal. Anyway, several hours into the sinking, about 1:30, close to 2 o'clock, there's a notice in the change in the ship. The ship gradually goes down, but at that point, the ship surges, goes down faster and faster. And what that was the chain reaction of this weakened bulkhead. It held enough water back that it couldn't hold no more because of the damage done to it from the fire, and it caused it to warp. The water blasted through this damaged bulkhead into the next boiler room and sealed the fate of the ship. So basically, because that the iceberg basically did partial damage in this area, and this is where the fire was located, in this part of the ship right here. Because you can see the bulkhead, this watertight division, snakes. It snakes around. And right there it is. That bold line is the bulkhead that is separating this compartment from this compartment. And because of that fire, because of the damage done to that bulkhead, the Titanic was doomed. She was screwed. And as we all know, basically, afterwards, it wasn't long before the Titanic went down. But another thing I want to kind of debunk here too was the way the Titanic broke. We all know from reading some of the older books and seeing James Cameron's epic movie that the Titanic broke between the third and fourth funnels in this region right here. Well, from new evidence located on the ocean floor, it now suggests, and actually seems more logical from reading some of the eye testimony from some of the eyewitnesses that saw it, including that of John B. Thayer Jr., aka Jack Thayer, that the ship actually broke in front of the third funnel right in this area right here. And the reason why I say that is because they found several sections of the upper portions of the ship. Big massive chunks of the Titanic's upper portions of her upper structure, including this funnel house, this area, and some big chunks of the actual upper superstructure were found. Quite a ways actually from the main body or main wreck of the ship. So, and also the angle too that the Titanic broke at was not the angle James Cameron showed, but actually it's probably a much more shallower angle, probably about a 35-38 degree angle she went up at before she broke. And no, she was not weak, because if she was a weak ship, you would not find big massive chunks and sections of the ship on the ocean floor. You'd find shreds and ribbons of metal and stuff that was torn apart, not chunks. So Titanic was not a weak ship. She was not designed to have her ass end basically lifted up out of the water while her face end was going down in the water. She was never designed that way. She was designed to take heavy seas, but she was not designed to have her ass end hauled out of the water while the rest of her was going under. So basically, yeah. So basically, that is what I think happened to the Titanic. What I believe really happened, that because of the coal fire, it caused a surge in the water, which sealed the ship's fate. The ship did not go as high as people believe so, and this whole section of the ship that was once believed to be destroyed and was gone has been found, and we now know she did not split in between here but she split right here, in this region here. Not here, but right in front of the third funnel, right about here, was where we believe where she had split. So, yeah. I hope you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that little lesson, and if you guys agree with me, tell me what you think. If you guys don't agree with me, explain your side of it and tell me what you think. And until next time, this is Common Urban saying, God bless you, and have smooth seas and clear skies, and happy sailing.